Welcome to my channel. I continue to fill my coloring books, and for this video I decided to use books by J.Basford and M.Trolle. I decided to use them together because for me they are probably the most challenging books to color, and honestly on my own list of preferences, these artists, they are pretty low. I have a huge appreciation towards Johanna because of her marketing activities, how she managed to become the most famous creator of adult coloring books, and how she started this hobby and how she promoted it worldwide. So that's why I really love Johanna, because of the idea of adult coloring. But when I just have heard about this new modern hobby 5 years ago, I looked at the first books which were available in our bookshops, and I actually wondered why it's called adult coloring, because in my childhood I definitely had pictures with similar books with similar pictures. Maybe amount of the details was smaller, but that's definitely not the style for adult coloring. Maybe for relax, but I wasn't interested, let's say. Only when I realized that adult coloring books can be in totally different style, I started to be really interested, and without other books. If only Johanna's books would exist on the market, I would never dive into coloring. Now I can color her books, but I realized that I enjoy mostly when I color her miniature designs, like her advent calendar, like tiny houses in her last books. For the full-size designs, I don't think that I have enough patience or inspiration, so I prefer to do some quick projects. With M.Trolle things are even worse. Myself, I purchased only the Twilight Garden in the very beginning of my coloring hobby, when I watched YouTube flip through, and I was really interested in the idea of book with pictures printed on black, so I was interested in black background. When I purchased it on Amazon, it traveled for a long time. When I finally got it, I realized that the style isn't exactly my thing. Too simplified. I'm not a huge fan of compositions here, so I realized that maybe Trolle isn't my thing. Other two books I got from the publisher for review, and I would say that two other books, they are easier for me to color. At least here I managed to do some nice pictures. Twilight Garden, it's a total disaster. I never managed to do some decent things. I think that here I have only 3 pictures for which I am not ashamed. All other were completely ruined, and now I mostly use these books when I get requests, and unfortunately they are very popular, so from time to time I try color here. I tried to use various media. I tried to put all my efforts into her books, but somehow I already have this inner block toward her books. When I look at her pictures, on the first sight I see only things which I don't like. I usually dislike that she mixes some more realistic things and more simplified things, like her flowers are more interesting to look at, but all the leaves are the same. Animals, especially in the first book, are absolutely terribly simplified and they look flat. And only then I start to appreciate some other details, because she has many cute images, and I know that now it's mostly my problem, but still I have usually a big struggle with all pictures in her books. Well, in Twilight Garden, I think that the first page, it's not that bad. I did it this year. The best thing is that I had enough patience to mask all black lines, so it works. It looks more tender, more romantic probably, but the shape of the bird, definitely not for me. This flower, some are very nice looking, like these cornflowers, and some are terribly shaped and simplified, so that's why I'm not a big fan of her style. This one actually is good, and I have quite warm feelings towards this dress, which I decided to turn into winter picture because it was one of the first pictures where I tried my set of polychromos. I got them, I was crazy happy, and I started to test how they blend, how they layer. I was so in love with the various natural green colors, so that's why I remember this coloring with a lot of warmth. So this one is definitely good. Even if I manage to do something good on her pages, I always ruin another element. Here you can see that I even tried to use watercolors, and again I abandoned it because even if I loved roses, the bird in such shape, I totally wasn't interested in continuing to color it. As I said, if I manage to do something good like this flower dress, which I actually love, I love this color combo of lavender pink and yellow orange. I added some uh, tiny leaves around to make the dress to be more interesting, and then the central part was completely ruined. I don't like her birds. Again, flowers are realistic and birds, they are absolutely childish. And the cat, of course, I ruined it myself. I always show this picture when I try to demonstrate my way in learning how to color fur, and that was one of the worst examples how I tried to color cat. Here I have page where I finally catched how to do steel and metals. I looked at reference pictures and I finally got how I need to put shadows, highlights, so this one is actually not that bad. In this book I have a lot of abandoned pictures because I tried to persuade myself that I can do something nice from them, and then I was so bored during coloring that I decided that it doesn't worth spending time here. I quite frequently now use these pictures for testing some color combos or some media. Here I have third and last good page in this book, because actually I do love how I did the background. I do love these yellow roses and leaves. I don't like how she added these butterflies, which totally not in the style of more realistic flowers, but that's the other question. Here I tried to do good looking poppies, and it wasn't the worst attempt because they have nice shading between petals, they have more highlighted edge of the petal. I managed to show the shape of the flower, some folds on the very delicate petals, but I ruined everything when I added the background. It distracted attention from the flowers, and it simply I didn't have enough skills to draw what I wanted to do. I wanted to show that behind flowers probably we have glass wall of the uh, gardening house, something like this, but I didn't manage to show it, and it simply distracted attention from the flowers. Here I have the worst looking O. Again, I used some pictures for testing. Here I tested ink tents for various color combos on the fall leaves. And another terrible page, but for me it was memorable because that's the first time when I tried to use white Prismacolor on top of the dark Prismas, on top of the black, gray, violet colors, and I realized how wonderful they can work together, how beautiful you can do the highlights using white. Well, in the second it's a nightfall, yeah, it's a nightfall in English. I have some nice pictures. At least here I managed to color the majority of portraits. Usually I didn't have enough patience to color background with pencils or to do something fancy, so I simply used soft pastel. This page reminded me about spring evenings, so that's how I called it. Here I decided to color it because it has variety of flowers and I do love these flowers, so I colored it. Nothing bad, nothing good. Again, one of the attempts to do something with watercolors. This one I actually love, not because of the final look of the page, but because of the idea. Initially it was probably summer picture because we have flowers here, but I colored it during the winter time and I tried to convert it into part of the winter fairy tale. It's quite famous Russian fairy tale. It's called Silver Hoof, and even in the story we have probably goat and not deer. Still, when he stomped with the hoof, he produced gemstones and golden things, so it was quite fortunate if you have a meeting with such a magical creature. Well, I know that it sounds absolutely crazy. Anyway, it's famous Russian fairy tale, so I decided that I also will try to use it here. That's why I have golden flowers, and around near his hoof I added this rays of light, some kind of shining, to show that there probably are gemstones. Don't laugh at me, at my explanations. Here I have a rabbit, and this one is actually not bad. I was lucky that I didn't have to do the background, so I just had to work on the full fur mostly. This one I do love. That was one of the pages where I again had troubles with Maria Trolle favorite compositions. She loves to put everything here on the lower part, and then on the upper part we have almost empty background, but they just put some insects. For me it's not helping to do something with the background. How to fill in the whole background? If you want to do such thing, it would be better if you move the house in the central part of the page without this huge dragonfly. It would be much better and easier to color just background a little bit around the house, not to fill in the huge empty part. Almost the same thing here, but I decided to limit the background myself with the frame. You can see that I simply ran out of patience to do the background with pencils until the corners. As I said, it's my own blocks, inner blocks. But I call this page Symphony in Blue. You can see why. I used a lot of blue colors, shades of blue. And I do love how I did this very old rusted kettle. I'm quite proud of it. Next I have another page on the black background. This one is actually not bad. Apart from these simplified flowers, these flower lilies look better, these flowers look more childish, and her face, she's so fat. Sorry guys, I will try not to be as negative. This one I did during the fall season, so of course I tried to use a lot of warm colors, a lot of yellow, orange, ochre. And I do love the mushrooms here. They work quite nice together with the bluebells. And even her hair, they have this auburn color. And again, soft pastel for the background, for the very impatient people. Another spread with experiments. Here on the right, I tried to use gouache probably for the first time. And again, here I didn't manage to do the nice soft gradient, all brush strokes are visible, so it was my fault, not Maria's. But again, you can see that the lower part is very busy image and very empty on the upper part. Here I tried to do something in my maybe watercolor style. So again, I masked some of the black lines, I added additional plants here. The same thing, the empty huge background and one stupid insect in the side, half of the side of the swan. Sorry guys. Well, but at least here I managed to work on the feathers. I used various shades of grey to add some texture on the feathers. Here I tested new set of pencils. This one actually is not bad because I do love dahlias, so of course I wanted to color dahlias. I do love the rabbit here, and I was quite proud of myself when I did her with green hair. For me at that time, to step out of my comfort zone, it was really a big thing. Here are my attempts with watercolors. That's another one which I actually love. Again, you can see that I try to limit the background. This arch and these leaves on it I draw myself because again it was empty with just these huge insects. So I decided to limit it and to create some kind of frame around the page. I do love this Bambi, it's cute. This one was totally ruined, but it was my fault because I tried to use acrylic paints without any knowledge how to actually use them. The next one I love because of the unusual color palette. I used Prismacolor pencils, all my favorite shades. I especially love these grayish leaves. I think that they created nice contrast around the animal. So this one, it's definitely not the worst one. I even enjoyed doing this one. I think that this spread I colored this year. On the right side I used my Ecoline liquid watercolors. They actually are good on this paper. They can be used for the quick backgrounds and they are usually very good coverage. And I tried to practice how to do daffodils, but I still didn't manage how to color them to look three-dimensional, so I still have to learn better. Maybe I need to use more of white paint for the highlights, because now my petals, they look a little bit flat, so I'm not happy with my own skills here. And the cat, well, let me not tell anything about the initial image. I tried to improve it. I added some flowers here to improve composition. So I added these flowers, these daffodils here to make it a little bit more well balanced. But I don't think that I managed to improve it a lot. It was fun to do with unusual color for the leaves and quite cute birds. At least anything it was very quick work, and I enjoyed how everything contrasts to the color of the leaves. This one I also love, mostly again because of the color of her hair. I do love it, and how I did the nest here, similar and beautiful pansies, violets probably on her dress. The background I did with pencils. Maybe I wasn't careful enough to blend, so it's not very smooth color gradient, but with Prismacolors I tried to do nice background. I think that these hedgehogs I also did this year, and it was a saving of the page because again I tested some new pencils on one of the flowers, then I abandoned it. In the end I decided that actually hedgehogs are relatively cute. They are eating berries and they are not bad. So I tried to delete pink and magenta color which were initially here. I turned all flowers into this more blue violet, and now I do love the final look of the page, even if again the background was a big problem. I tried to do very soft looking shading around the grass. Here I don't have any explanations why I selected these crazy colors for the background. I think that I looked at my set of pencils probably, and I used the least frequently used colors. Usually I don't use such strong turquoise greens for the background, but somehow I decided to use it here. And the main image I do love. First I was thinking that it's strange that she's sitting on the hill with the face, but then I decided that maybe it can be part of the story. So apart from the crazy color of the background, this one actually is not bad. I think that I somewhere also had my dahlias. Maybe they are in this book. You can see that I use it also for test. Here, I forgot about my dahlias. As dahlias are my favorite flowers, I did this page and I enjoyed everything. I was thinking, finally, I did something good in Maria Trolle's books. It was one of my very old works, and I was proud. I studied Prismacolor combos at the moment, so I was proud how I used all them on the petals, different varieties, and then I decided to darken a little bit corners of the page with a very light shadow of the gray-blue watercolor, and it created a very dirty effect. So to save this page I had to use distress inks and some of my stamps to turn it into some kind of vintage postcard. Well, as I said, I always manage to do something strange in her books. Well, now let's move to Botanicum, where it's much easier to color for me comparing to her first books. Here I again used Ecoline watercolors. The shade is also a little bit crazy, but I experimented. I tried which colors I can blend from those Ecoline's bottles, and actually here the colors of the peacock, they actually match the color of the background. It was the first page which I did with my budget set of Star Joy pencils. They have very good colors for the peacocks, for the greens, so I decided to use it here. And of course it's very shiny because I used a lot of metal watercolors, white and yellow gold actually. The next one isn't that bad, and I do love the rabbit and flowers here and even the leaves. The background, that is where is the problem. Again, because it's empty here, all the stains which you get from watercolor or from neocolor crayons, they are always very visible. If we had something, maybe some additional branches, some additional flowers here, it would be easier to work on the background and not to think about how to mask all those stains which I got when I applied water. Anyway, at least the bunny, he is quite cute. This one I also started as an experiment because I needed to use somewhere my Derwent graphitins. I want to learn them better, they color combos, how they work on various papers, so I used them here on the background. Then I deliberately tried to select more muted colors for the leaves, for the round leaves, and slightly more vivid greens for the second type of the leaves. For me it's a mix of Daenerys Targaryen because of the color which I selected on her hair, and the Pet Cemetery book by King, so it's a crazy mix of two books. Well, at least I do love how this lilac magenta colors look together with the muted green of the background. I definitely need to use this color combo somewhere else, in some other books. This one I managed to do without big problems, and even the background I did with pencils. This one is actually not bad. Again, I did it because I wanted to practice more on various color combos on the rose leaves. Some are more peach with a little bit of yellow, some are more yellow with just an addition of peach, so this one actually is good. Some of the spreads I do want to color. This one actually is good, I do love it. Any problems at all? Maybe I just would move it a little bit in the middle part, just like we have here. I would put it slightly upper, but that's my thing. Here I tried to color only with watercolors. This lady is actually not bad herself, and I do love the peonies here and foxgloves, lupin flowers. I don't like the shape of her face actually, but that's the other question. I am also not very good at changing faces, not big specialist on portraits, so I can't critique the original art here. This one, I really want to do this one. It always was one of my favorites. Here I tested new pastel watercolors made by White Nights. Here I have spread where I experimented a lot with various media. Here I used neo colors and then Inktense for these unusual dahlias. Here I used regular watercolor for the Bordeaux background. Then I sprinkled pearlescent pink. And for the dahlias I think that I again used Inktense and regular pencils for the dragons. At least it was fun. This one I actually do love. It's nothing bad with this page. I do love the black background here, very complementary to the bright flowers. I enjoyed doing flowers here. They are really very nice looking, realistic looking, similar to Leila Dewley's style, so that one definitely was a good coloring. I think that I managed to do quite good lupin flowers, and even poppies, they are not bad. Here I tried to make my own frames to limit amount of the backgrounds and to use acrylic paint for the background. The left made with Arteza, the right made with a mix of Prismacolors and Derwent drawings. Their colors are quite good for the autumn leaves. This one I actually love. We have couple of pictures with wreaths here, and I use them for practicing wooden backgrounds. This one is more successful. Later I will show you my first attempt. So I do love this one. Apart from this very strange, and again here we have realistic birds, realistic berries. Sorry guys, realistic berries, and something which is totally simplified, strange looking, so not very realistic, and that's what I don't like. But in the end, the final look of the page is actually not bad. What else I have here? Another page where I tried to use watercolors only, without pencils. Next, again, I experimented with Ecoline watercolors. Unfortunately, I have only limited amount of them. I don't know why I don't purchase more colors, because they actually are helpful for backgrounds. They blend well, they cover paper well, never bleed through. And of course it was one of the autumn colorings. If there are dahlias on the pictures, of course I want to color such pictures. So that I think that I used polychromos pencils. And that's another wreath, slightly different texture on the wooden surface, but also another good practice. And it's a winter page, more popular here. Yes, and I think that's all, but I also work on one page here currently. That was all about my works in J.Trolle book, and now we will very quickly look at J.Basford works. Now let's have a look at pictures by Johanna. I won't show you the forest and the ocean. I hadn't touched them in years. So in Ivy, couple of years ago I did several pictures. They are not bad, but I simply don't enjoy them anymore as I enjoyed them in the beginning. So I simply decided that I have much more interesting books, so why bother coloring what I don't 100% like. So let's make a very quick flip through. This one definitely is not bad. I enjoyed inventing all those polychromos color combos. I think that for this video I will leave you a link because indeed some of the color combos were quite nice. Here it was interesting to try to find matching color palettes for the various objects, for the squares on the background. I always try somehow to unite the background for the frame and also a little bit around the text. I can't say how it was possible to finish such a detailed spread with pencils. I had so much patience there. I do love this chest full of treasures, and I especially love gemstones and all the golden cups and the crown. Many nice things here. Another spread where I experimented a lot. I used here some of the Inktense colors for some of the areas. Then I also used for this matte green acrylic gouache, and then for the ornament very shiny metal watercolors. So there is a good difference in textures, even if such a delicate and tiny ornament wasn't easy to do with brush and with watercolors. And you can see that I still have a lot of abandoned pictures, actually many of them. Here I do love the upper part and the dragons not so much, probably their shape. This one is simple but not bad because it has also good difference between Inktense texture, which I used for all those green and blue colors, and for the shiny stars I used red gold, yellow gold. So here the metal and pearlescent watercolors, they are very helpful. This spread is good. It had many tiny details, and again I tried to decide for myself which elements are the most important, where I need to attract attention of the viewer, like castle, like this gemstone in front of the girl, and I tried to use for them brighter or more intense colors so they won't be lost here. This one I do love, and I even made video on my channel here how to color golden elements, how to color silver elements, so probably I will also leave you a link, maybe it can be helpful for beginners. Some abandoned things, you can see how many pictures I started and then I never had enough patience. This one I did as an experiment with color softs. As usual, color softs are demanding to the paper quality, so also far from perfect here, but still they have some interesting colors. For the fantasy leaves, even their greens are not bad, so the page is also interesting. This one I do love. Here I practiced this rusted metal texture. Yes, it's probably all here. Finally, let's move to the latest book. I also have some printed pictures like advent calendar, which I show you, and also I did tiny circles with birds and berries, which was included in freebie Flourish and also is repeated here, and it was an interesting experience to color on dark green paper, but now I prefer something lighter like light brown, tan or gray for printing my pictures. Now let's have a look. I have this cover. When I saw it in the very beginning, I knew that I wanted to do backgrounds in rows with the same color palettes, and you can see that I maintained this idea, and I deliberately tried to use at least one color which will unite them. You can see all those cream and deco yellow elements everywhere, here and here and here a little bit, but still these repeated colors, they help to make a united composition. Here I also shown how I would do the whole frame around them, again if I would have patience. First I tried different color combo and I realized that no, traditional golden one works much better for all the colors. So it's pretty nice, but of course I totally can't do the whole cover. To repeat the same element many times, it's absolutely not for me. The next thing I did is bottles. I hoped to show either different time of the day, either various seasons of the year. So we have more winter bottle, more like autumn bottle. Here I think that we have probably evening and morning, and it was quite nice. For such a small projects, I really enjoy Johanna's pictures, Johanna's designs, but to do a full size or to draw background from myself like I saw on many other colorists' works. Sorry, but I absolutely have no patience and imagination to transform her pictures. I think that maybe one day I will do this underwater pictures. I actually love them, especially this one with the big fish and with the buildings behind, but definitely not now. I have so many more interesting pictures. It was fun to do these quick projects, to imagine first which cake I want to do. I usually prefer to use more or less natural colors. I personally don't like cakes covered by with very bright unnatural colors, like blue or bright green, cream or mastic, so I always prefer to use much more natural colors in my own baking and also in coloring. So I have a lot of cream, a lot of brown, orange colors, but I think that my cakes, they look relatively yummy. I also think that one day probably I will do these houses, but the idea to fill in the background, it's a little bit disturbing. This one I printed on green paper, so I have them separately. Some of the pictures here I did, some of the pictures I used for testing pencils here, so I hadn't finished them. Well, the remaining ones, they are not very inspiring for me, but maybe one day again to test some, quickly test some color combo or some idea for the background, so maybe I will use them. On this page I tested various media. I used acrylic, I used Neocolor crayons for this violet purple background, and then on top of it I added pearl watercolors, so we have very shiny dots in matching colors, and I think that they actually would add very nice touch to the fantasy designs in this book. On the lower part I used watercolor also, and the fishes and domes on the palaces I made with polychromos pencils. This page I absolutely enjoyed. Again, they are small, they are flowers, so that's exactly what I wanted, what I needed to color, and it was fun to do all of them in various patterns. If you need, all of them are on my channel. Maybe you will find something helpful there, some color palettes, maybe you like some of the flowers here, and you can use them for your own designs. So this page I am definitely like a lot. It was pleasure to do all of them, and I even don't know which one is my favorite. I do love this flower. I was happy when I did these big flowers. Probably apart from this one, all are quite great. And that's my unfinished page where I work very slowly when I have some creative idea. When I know which next cottage I want to do, I simply add it here. The upper row I transformed into winter Christmas village, so I added Santa, sleigh, the snowman, also the Christmas tree. I was very proud of myself when I got this idea, and I decided to continue in the same way. So next we have a row of spring cottages. I have wisteria, I have probably apple blossom or cherry blossom trees here, and here I have gardener's house. He is already prepared to start planting. Here we have bulbs, here we have spring flowers, tulips, so that was my idea. Next I decided to do a row of like natural cottages without attaching them to the particular time of the year, because we have 4 seasons, and one row of simple cottages. But here I added the lighthouse, water, and the board. It's another one of my favorite cottages apart from this two. Here I have school. I didn't know what to add, so I just added the name. And here I have cafe, where I added tiny table and chairs, and also bushes with flowers behind. Here I did a summer cottage with tiny sheep, and also we have here grape. I am not sure if you can see them, but again, if needed, I have all the videos from this book in separate playlist on my YouTube channel, so if you need them, you can watch them. And that's all here. Another page which maybe I will do one day, it's this one. But if I do something in Johanna book, then I need a long period of time to switch to other books, and only then I will be ready to return to them. I really admire people who transform Johanna's pictures into some magical pictures. I envy their talent, but it's simple, not the thing which I can do. But still I hope that this book I will be using in the future. Thank you for watching. I hope that I hadn't say many offensive things towards these two artists. Actually, I try to color them and I appreciate their talent, but sometimes it's just not for everyone. Thank you for watching, and I hope that next series about Teresa Goodrich and Hannah Carson will be much more cheerful.